so I just did that quick little test of the clutch and the brake pedal and shifting it. I still need to make the shifter on the back end a little bit more stronger, maybe a little bit more leverage actually off the shifter, the little arm itself. I think if it was a little bit longer, it would work a lot easier. And then I just quickly add this mesh plate here to protect the air filter, and I've still got the rag stuck in here. Alright, so I just made up this little, you want to call it like a kick panel or whatever. Feet go against here, and it makes my feet the right height for the pedals, so that works quite nicely there. The pedals there, I still got to do more work to the pedals, but whatever. And then it's held up by this piece that goes along. Nice strong bar. It's a smaller tubing than the actual frame, so it's a little lighter, can save a little bit there. And this isn't even bolted down yet, it still comes up. I'm actually kind of thinking that this maybe make it on like a hinge so it can come up and have it as like a little storage area. I'm not entirely sure, but anyways, next I'm gonna roll this thing backwards so that it's sitting more over there. And I'm gonna start it up, put it in gear, and see what happens if I can drive it. And personally, I'm kind of expecting that when I go to try to drive it, I may have an issue with the sprockets back here. I might chain might jump, or it might shear one of the pins off that's holding it all in there. I'm not entirely sure. That's just kind of how I feel, you know. It's just like past experiences. I've never built a full suspension one, but I've built other buggies that were well, more go-karts than buggies, and that was the main problems I ran into before. So I've tried to make this very strong, but I've also never had an engine with quite this much power, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I'll set up the camera and we'll see what happens. Alright, so it moved about, let's say about 10 feet, and then I stopped it. It would have gone further, but I got major problems with, I knew those linkages were too close together, and it turns out that when I'm trying to use the clutch, it sometimes grabs the throttle and pulls it. And that's why at the end there, it basically pulled the throttle and just like started revving it way up. The other thing I could tell was that it does not sound very properly aligned back here with the sprockets, so I'll have to figure out what's going on there, because I thought they were aligned, but I could hear a bit of like a clicking, so they must not be aligned. Oh, I see the this sprocket actually, the chain here has gone really loose here. The chain's really stiff too. That chain probably, it's brand new chain, so it probably needs to be greased, but oh, I can see already now. That's loose because this all slid back. The bearings all slid back. Yeah, that's why that's loose. It's getting pretty dark out here. I just did some changes here with the pedals and just gave it a quick little test here, barely moving the buggy, and found that it actually works pretty good. So the throttle over here, I've added this bar to it, so this piece of round stock, and then I've moved the entire throttle cable to this side of the buggy instead of being over here with the clutch. So it's kind of interesting to me. There's clutch pedals here, it moves over here to grab the cable, and then the throttle pedal is here and it moves over here to grab the cable for the throttle. Alright, so I'm going to make the rear adjustment now for this axle here. As you guys saw, I made the adjustment right here for the main shaft there, and then the jack shaft. I added just a very simple little adjustment on both sides there to keep it so that it's can't get pulled inward and get loose. I noticed too that the this shaft, well, probably both of them actually, are not very well aligned, so I'll have to definitely make those better. Anyways, and then I just added a quick little tack to both sides of this because this is just loose and it was trying to get itself over to that side, so now it will stay right here, and then when I'm ready to do something with it, I'll just grind those off and it will be easy to move. I got that piece all finished painted and in there. I took some old, well, it's actually brand new, but it was old stuff that I had. Fuel injection hose, and I cut it and then lined the edge here. I also filed the edge so it wasn't sharp anymore, but now all this stuff can rest against this, so it's nice and smooth and it won't tear it up. Alright, so I just took the side panel off the rear here. Now, just looking at the throttle, and I need to make a like, it's got a return spring already that brings it back. There's you can actually see it right inside there, that spring. I just need to make one that's just slightly, like, kind of add on to it, just to make sure that it fully brings it back every time. So went to the store and I got some universal springs. These are all like $1 each, so I bought a couple. This one I can go further with it. It's not actually in a U, it's actually straight when it gets out of the package. And this one is a fair bit stronger, and this one's just the same as this one. So I'm thinking maybe I can loop this off here somewhere, one of these openings of this expanded steel, and loop it straight on there and be super simple. Yeah, I just don't want it to pull too hard, and then it'll be not so good that way, and it'll wear out the bushings in the throttle. Alright, so this is what I've come up with here. The spring is looped onto the end of that screw there and holds it on there, then comes through here. This was a throttle return, but I have no way of using it, so I took it off. So I just widened this loop a little bit and the spring goes through there, it guides it. And then right on here, this is a screw type nut. It's like a weird rubbery thing from the bike that the engine came out of, and it's quite nicely reused here. We move the throttle here and it snaps back into place. Alright, so as I was saying, I was waiting on a 30 sprocket for the rear, and here we have it, a brand new 30 sprocket, not 32. So it's brand new. Sadly, I should have done research before buying this, because it turns out that if you can picture front sprocket and then say this is the rear sprocket. So in order to gear it down, the rear would need to be bigger than it already is. So we have a 43 tooth on the rear right now. Currently, we would need something bigger than that in order to gear it down, which is the opposite of what I had thought. I thought a 30 tooth would gear it down, but that would actually make it worse. As well, another thing we can do is we can put a smaller sprocket on the front. So we have a 15 tooth on the front right now. We could go a little bit smaller, and that would gear it down as well. So luckily I caught this mistake in time before making a special hub and whatnot for this. So put that aside, and we have found for the rear, we have found this 46 tooth, which is a direct bolt on. It's meant for this for the ZX6R engine. 46 teeth, so that's 3 more teeth than we had previously. And for the front, I found this new 14 tooth, which is brand new. These are both brand new. This one was test fit, and so it's got grease on it, but as you look at the teeth, it is still actually brand new. So now that we've got that sorted, let's install them.